Next up, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning has said that China will send its Middle East Special Envoy, Zai Jun, to the region in the near future to help de-escalate tensions. Mao has added that Beijing believes dialogue and negotiation are the only way to resolve conflicts. According to reports, the U.S.-Iran war has entered its sixth day. The conflict has widened beyond the Gulf states as well as into Asia, convulsing global markets and prompting thousands of stranded tourists and residents to try to flee the Middle East. Meanwhile, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning has responded. Let's listen in to what she had to say.
中方将派中国政府中东问题特使翟俊于近期访问中东地区，为推动紧张局势降温做出积极努力。中方认为，战争和武力无法从根本上解决问题，对话谈判才是解决问题的正确路径。应该坚持通过政治外交手段化解矛盾分歧。中方将继续同包括冲突当事方在内的有关各方保持沟通，加强斡旋，凝聚共识。
And now joining us from Tokyo is Dr. Satoru Nagao, a fellow from the Hudson Institute. Sir, of course, China is now going to get involved with the Middle East conflict. The rising tensions there have essentially escalated to the point where China needs to protect its own interests. I also believe that Japan is a huge importer of oil, and a lot of their oil comes from Iran also. To what extent do you believe that Japanese authorities and the ministry, the government, the military will also get involved in this war? When will they start mobilizing troops? Do you have any intel on that, please?
In this case, firstly, we need to talk about the security of the Strait of Hormuz, because China imports much oil from Iran. Of course, namely, it's made in Indonesia, made in Malaysia, as they said, but the reality is this came from Iran. And 38% of the oil tanker crossing the Strait of Hormuz going to China. In case of Japan, 11%. So compared with Japan, China suffer more if something has happened in Strait of Hormuz. So in this case, if the U.S. continues the military operation against Iran, U.S. and Israel in this case, of course China suffer more than Japan. That is true. But at the same time, Japan is worrying the one situation. If the U.S. spend too much ammunition, because China is maintaining their ammunition, China can invade Taiwan more easily. That is Japan's concern in this region. So in case of the Strait Hormuz, yes, China face more damage. But in case of the Taiwan Strait, it relies on the stock of ammunition. That is Japan's worrying. Stock of ammunition, this is a secret, so that's why it is not easy to identify how many weapons the U.S. is keeping or China is preparing. So, but view from the situation, roughly, Japan is worrying the situation.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. Much appreciated. Next up, a crude oil tanker anchored near Iraq's Khor al-Zubair port has likely suffered a hull breach after an overnight explosion. The vessel, Senegal Namibe, which sails under the Bahamas flag, was reportedly approached by a small unidentified boat in the early hours of March